Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports Friday, December 12th. Jeffrey, what's up? Welcome back. I was worried about you, man. Although I was kind of like, oh, well, Jeffrey said that he wasn't like you said you ran out of your bankroll, though. So does this mean you reloaded now that you're back? I don't want to lead you astray, man. But also, you know, the way that we do things here, you know, it's a grind, and obviously I'm giving out like exactly what I am or would actually be betting on, and nothing more, nothing less. So like, you have razor thin margins here, man. So I don't know, like, I don't like to toy around, you know what I mean? I just try to say, this is it, these are the plays, we either win or we lose on them, and that's it. I don't try to chase anything, then, you know, move on to the next day, whatever. Yesterday was a win on the show. If you do what I recommend that you do, and you put some percentage of the underdog plays on the money line, because it was a 2-2 day, but with the Bucks outright win, and plus one of the hockey plays was an underdog. I mean, they both almost were. So hopefully that got you a slight win yesterday. I mean, the way that I do things, it would have been. Iowa almost got an outright win for us as well. That was the right call. It was a wire-to-wire cover by Iowa. They stormed out of the gate, man. Well, as much as a team like Iowa can storm, I mean, they play slow, but Iowa had a double-digit lead, like, right away in that game. I'm like, okay, this is going well. And then I figured they probably were not going to be able to hang on to the outright win, but at that point, it's like, you better just at least cover this thing. Of course they did. It was never close to not being a cover. They took that game like right to the wire, man, and unfortunately they lost by, I think, 4 points. It was a 2-point game right at the end, and I think they fouled one more time. But yeah, it was wire-to-wire cover, easy cover for Iowa. Almost got the outright win there. That's one where I would have said, like, put like 3% on the money line on that one. The money line part of it almost hit. And then the money line did hit, as I was alluding to, on the Milwaukee Bucks against my Boston Celtics. Maybe my Celtic radar is no longer malfunctioning. Finally, the Celtics fell flat, and I kind of called that too, because the Celtics had a pretty big lead in the middle of that game, like double-digit lead. And like I said on the show yesterday, the Celtics, they get complacent when they have a big lead, man. So it's like backdoor covers can happen against the Celtics. And not only was that a backdoor cover, the Bucks took over and won the game outright. I mean, they had a double-digit lead by the fourth quarter, and wound up hanging on for the outright win. So that was good. Well, at least it was good for the wallets, at least. So the Bucks, they got there. Hopefully that gave you the extra money line cash on that one. And then the St. Louis Blues, they might be an unbettable team at this point, man. I don't know what else to tell you. The game was statistically not as bad as it looked. I mean, obviously, if it's a 7-2 hockey game, the stats are not going to really indicate that it was a blowout of that magnitude, because those just don't exist in hockey unless some weird stuff happens. But the game should have been closer. But man, Binnington, he's awful, dude. I don't know what else to tell you. He's their better goalie, and doesn't look like it at this point. We've lost a couple plays in a row in the Blues with him in net. Not good. And then Vancouver should have won. I mean, that really pissed me off. They were up 2-1 in the middle of the game. It was a tied game. Then they wound up losing 3-2, and they had a lot of time to try to tie that thing back up. You look at the stats, Vancouver dominated that game. They had more than double the shot attempts of Buffalo. They had way more hits. They were way more physical, and they won like 60% of the faceoffs. So, like, how do you lose that game and you dominate, like, all of the major statistical categories? It wasn't even close statistically. So I'm pissed about that one. I don't think that was a wrong call whatsoever. Vancouver was the right side in that game. Just pisses me off. And now we move on to today, where we have another pretty small board today. 2 plays today, and they're both in college basketball. Jeffrey probably back at the right time, because they're both going to be pretty substantial underdog plays. So hopefully we can get some more basketball here. Oh, no, Jeffrey, never do a 10x bet, man. You got to, this is the thing, man. Like, well, I mean, if people want to, like, do this seriously, like, one of the major mistakes is, like, you can pick winners and have more winners than losers, where you should be up. But if you don't, like, bankroll it correctly, then you can still lose. You know what I mean? Like, you never want to put too much on one thing. So it's like, it's always recommended somewhere between 1% and 5% on every single bet. I do 3% literally on everything, just to really keep myself in check. And I don't, it makes me not have to weigh any of the bets more heavily than others, although maybe I should, because some of the ones I feel really strongly about do tend to do better. But Pinsy, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Iowa State went on a 14-0 run to start the second half. That's pretty brutal. But even with that, it was still a wire-to-wire cover. That's how much. Yeah, I mean, that was how much of a right side Iowa was in that game. They could give up a 14-0 run, which one of those analytics sites, one of those analytics sites tracks, like, how many 10 plus 0 runs there are. I forget what he calls them. The kill shot, I think. It might be Evan Maya. I forget. One of those guys tracks them, so you could see how many, I think he calls it the kill shot, how many kill shots each team has, because those are runs that just completely swing the game. So yeah, that was a kill shot for Iowa State in that one. But they didn't kill the bet. And they still almost lost the game outright. So, all right, we'll get into today. And then I got to figure out what I want to do tomorrow, because I assume there's going to be a lot of college basketball, so I might have to finally transition over to doing college basketball Saturday shows for on Friday night. But I'll figure it out. If you subscribe to the show, you'll see if I go live tonight or not. But we have college basketball to talk about today. There's not a whole lot of action. We had a couple of fairly packed Fridays recently. Today is not one. And for the remainder of the season, I think the Fridays are going to be pretty light. We have an early-ish game at 6 p.m. between Army and Maryland, Baltimore County. I don't know what to really say about it. I just usually shout out the earlier games just because they're kind of isolated. Army is coming off beating Gallaudet, I think is who that is, which they're a school for the deaf. So does that mean they're a deaf basketball team too? I have no clue, dude. Probably not, but who knows? Army beat those guys. They're not a Division I team. Now they're coming into this game off of a win that should just be kind of like a tune-up, so not a bad spot for them. UMBC had a tougher game against Buffalo, and that was a game where I thought UMBC was going to win that game. I did mention that game on the show as a slight lean to UMBC. I think they had the lead late in that game, and they blew it and lost, so they're coming off a much more difficult game. So I think Army probably would be a slight lean for me in this one. Definitely not one that I'm interested in, really, but UMBC is up from 6 to 6.5. Yeah, I mean, small opinion on that one for me would be to look towards taking the points there. Yeah, Army, Navy, and there's Army, Navy, the Celebration Bowl, and the LA Bowl are all tomorrow. Dirty Sock, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. All All right, and then we'll get right into these bets, man. I mean, this is just the way that it is today. Best bets. There's only 2 hockey games, and there's a pretty light NBA slate today, too. So usually a little bit heavier on Friday, but we're kind of in the NBA Cup days here, so there aren't as many NBA games. First up, we're going to take the points with Missouri State plus 18, I think is what you can get on this against Xavier. Now, I know Missouri State likes to play slow, and Xavier likes to play fast, so that is one potential concern here. If Xavier is going to try to speed the game up here, that will benefit Xavier and hurt Missouri State, but I think this is a bad spot, and I'm not that worried about it because the total is still pretty low in the 140s, even though it is climbing, but we're taking a lot of points with a somewhat low total, so, I like to take points in games with low totals. You know that by now because the points are worth more. 67% of tickets are on Xavier. If the public plays this game and they want action down, they might be looking at this game because it is a Big East team in the 7 p.m. slate. And they're only going to be on the Xavier side here because they know the name, whatever. Missouri State's got 90% of the actual money right now, though. So I think, at least for now, the actual money's coming into Missouri State. And we'll see if the professionals see what I see in this game. Me not being a professional. This game is on True TV, by the way, so the people out there can watch it if they have cable as well or whatever. Xavier, this is a sandwich spot, man. I mean, it doesn't get more simple than this, really, for me. They're coming off their huge Cincinnati rivalry game because Xavier is a Cincinnati school, and they beat Cincinnati, who I think they still consider to be their bigger brother because it's the University of Cincinnati. That's always a big game. It's always a physical game. They're hated rivals. Xavier got the win in that game. I believe they were an underdog as well in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Maybe I'm wrong about that, actually. It was really close to a pick 'em, actually. I don't know. For some reason, yeah, because Xavier's kind of down this year. For some reason, I thought Cincinnati was more of a favorite than that. But Xavier's coming up that huge rivalry, and they start Big East play with Creighton in 5 days at home. So I think Xavier is in a spot where they may just overlook a Missouri Valley team like Missouri State, Justin's Missouri State Bears here. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a spot where Xavier's probably just going to try to get in, get out. So that helps as well as far as like worrying if Xavier's going to really try to push the tempo here. I don't really think they have the motivation to really do that necessarily because I think it's a game where they can kind of figure they can go a little bit easier and still get out of here with a win. But when teams think that way, again, you want to fade them, and they might get caught. Missouri State, I do realize Xavier's 6-1 at home. Missouri State's 0-2 on the road. Not great, but of course, we're not asking Missouri State to win the game. I'm not telling you they're going to win the game. I'm just telling you I think more likely than not they're going to cover. Missouri State's playing a second straight road game here, which it's a little bit difficult, but what I do like is they already have a couple of road games under their belt now, so they're not going to be totally intimidated by this, I wouldn't think. This is the first power conference team they're playing, and I think maybe the only one all season. But so that means, well, yeah, maybe they might be intimidated, but what it also means is it's their biggest game of the season, man. Like when you're a team like Missouri State and you have one game against a power conference team, you're going to circle that game, man. You're going to show up and try to perform in that game. So I like that for Missouri State as well. Their last game, that road game at Tulsa, was a bad loss. I mean, not a bad loss because Tulsa's not that bad, but they lost by 24. Tulsa also on my good side right now because they got us a win the other day. So, but I like it. I really don't like how this sets up for Xavier. Really, that's the handicap. Xavier's in a sandwich spot, but I think Missouri State could be in a bit of a bounce back after that Tulsa loss as well. So Missouri State plus the points is the first play there. And even though I really don't think they're going to win the game, I still recommend, because I just like to have a small amount, 1% of the bet on the money line, just to have that little bit there in case it does happen. Next up, we're in the best bet segment, and here's the whole best bet segment because my other play is in the one big game of the day at 8 p.m. on Fox. The public's going to be coming in on this game, man. Texas and UConn. And you know which way they're going to be going in this game if they're going to play this. Number 5, UConn. UConn is legitimately a top 5 team in the country for sure. UConn came, they basically landed right on the number in the previous game. So that play that I gave out on UConn depended on which number you got. But now I think this is a play. This is a spot where we play Texas, man. Texas plus 15 or whatever the number is here. It looks like the money kind of agrees with that. 50% of tickets, 67% of the cash on Texas. The total dropped as well down to 146. And UConn likes to play slow, so that's the other thing. Texas does like to play a little bit faster, but if UConn's going to play slow, yeah, in a way it could frustrate Texas, but then that means it's going to be a lower scoring game. You can see the odds makers are projecting that as well, with the total being in the 140s. So again, you're getting a lot of points going up against a team that wants to play slow. So again, that slow style that UConn plays, sometimes it's not exactly conducive to laying a ton of points here. And neither is the spot that UConn is in. This is a sandwich spot as well. UConn, they're coming off that win over Florida a few days ago, man. That was a huge win. I mean, you beat the returning champs, Florida. And as I pointed out in that game, one of the reasons I gave out UConn in that game was that was tournament revenge for UConn as well, because UConn almost eliminated Florida from the tournament, man. And then Florida went on to win the whole thing. UConn, you know they had that game circled. You remember the team that ended your season, man, and UConn had it circled. They got the win. Now they play this Texas team, which I know Texas is a big name, but they're an unranked team. They're kind of down this year. And up next, Butler is their next opponent. That is UConn's Big East opener in 4 days. So I think that game is bigger to them, man, than Texas is. Even if Texas is a little bit better than Butler is, this is a bad spot, man, in my opinion. UConn, they're good at home, I know, 5-1, but this is not at Storrs, Connecticut, though. So this is in Hartford, because, of course, whenever UConn has one of these bigger games, they want to pack the stadium with more. Like, it's all about the money. They want more tickets sold, so they go to the bigger arena. So this is at the Hartford Civic Center, but you remember what I said about that with UConn. Their biggest home advantage is when they literally play on their campus, because they get, like, the rowdy, drunk students there, you know what I mean? When they're in Hartford, fewer students go to the game, although they might show up for a game against Texas. But the Hartford crowd is more oriented towards, like, the rich UConn alumni who live in the area, you know what I mean? And they're, like, less rowdy. So it's the UConn old money crowd is what these games are. Yeah, they're still going to have a big crowd. I mean, I could have kind of said the same thing when UConn was just playing in Madison Square Garden the other night too. But you knew that crowd was going to be UConn biased, and it was. And this will be as well. But again, it's not the full home court advantage that UConn usually gets. Texas, I mean, they're a power conference team. They've already played some big teams. They're not going to be intimidated here. Yeah, this is only their second true road game, and the only other one they have was against Chaminade, which is not even a D1 school. But the setup is just much easier for Texas. They're coming off an easy bounce-back win over Southern, so kind of a tune-up. I think they're going to be focused on this. I know I worry a little bit about the fact that they're traveling to the Eastern time zone, but they've traveled to other places already. So they did where did they play Duke, actually? Let me see. This was in the Eastern time zone. They had to play Duke in Charlotte, so that was a semi-road game for them. So that did battle test them and see them going to the Eastern time zone. So this is not the first time they're doing that either. So I like it. I like how it sets up. We will take Texas plus the points there, and those are the two plays of the day. Hopefully we can get them, man. We want to go 2-0. 1-1 is going to be a loser, so we want to go 2-0 here, but we'll see. You can parlay the underdog spread and the money line fair. Yes, you can do that. Well, some books might not allow that. I don't know. Because the books, that's more of a professional thing to do. Like that's called a middle, essentially, where you can have the underdog covering, but you also have money on the favorite to just win the game. And it lands in the middle of those two things, so you can scoop the entire pot. Yeah, that's a middle. Some guys there are guys out there that just play middles, basically. Like, they try to predict where the line's going to go, so they bet on the line towards that direction, and then when it moves in that direction, they come back and bet the other side. When it goes through, like, a key number, you know what I mean, like 7 in football or something like that. If they see, like, this team's at 6.5, let's push it all the way through the 7. They lay the 6.5, get it all the way up through the 7, whatever. Then they come back and they also play the other side plus 7.5, you know what I mean? And if it lands 7, they win everything. There are guys that do that. But, of course, I don't even know if there's enough money, enough positive EV to do something like that, to be honest, because the percentage chance that a game like that's going to land 7 is not that huge, so probably not enough to overcome it. Syracuse and Iowa State. Did Syracuse not cover? I'm not sure if they did or not. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I've ever tried to do a middle, unless you count like hedging, like when you have a future on something and then you bet the other side, against that to hedge some of it back. I've done that before, but I don't. That's not really technically a middle, I guess. But anyway, yeah, those are the only two plays today. If you want me to talk about any of these other games, I guess I can, but there isn't really anything else that I found to be of interest here in college basketball. We have two hockey games, which I'm not really interested in either, especially because I got to stay the hell away from the St. Louis Blues, man. And now they're on a back-to-back. They're playing Chicago. Both these games are at night tonight. Chicago has more rest here because they played on Wednesday, but they beat New York, the Rangers, 3-0. The Rangers actually lost on the road. Go figure. Blackhawks, nice shutout win there. Now they have this single game road trip to St. Louis, and tomorrow they got Detroit. You got to think Chicago might have one eye looking ahead to Detroit, man. The St. Louis team has been ass, so I don't know if Chicago's really going to be paying attention to it. So I don't love the spot for Chicago, but if you want St. Louis, you're going to have to deal with them on a back-to-back, although it means Hoffer will be back in net this time, which is probably better than Binnington at this point. They've lost most of Binnington's recent games. So do with that information what you will, I guess. They are playing a third game in 4 days, though, and they were just in Nashville last night. But St. Louis got wrecked in their last two games by a combined score of 12-4. So I actually kind of lean to St. Louis in this one, even though I normally don't like the team on the back-to-back. Chicago looks like a public underdog here, which is concerning if you like Chicago. 65% of the tickets, 52% of the cash on them. St. Louis dropped from -142 to -123, although that line move might have just been the books having to adjust for like St. Louis announcing their goalie or something like that. I'm not really sure, although you could kind of assume anyway. It's not going to be Binnington because he played last night, so they're not going to have him in there on a back-to-back, especially when he was terrible last night. So do with that information what you will, but I do think Chicago is not as good as their record looks, as I keep saying, so probably St. Louis is a lean in that one, but I don't love it at all. Syracuse money line and St. Joe's plus the points. Yeah, I was an idiot last night. I swear ESPN had that game listed as being in Las Vegas, and then I looked later and it was like, no, the game's in Syracuse. I'm like, what? I don't know what was going on with that, but I still thought St. Joe's plus the points was the right side, so I gave that out as an opinion. I think it wound up being correct as well, so there you go. Predators have improved. They may have, or I think they really underperformed last year. They're better talent-wise. They should be better than what they've been doing. But I don't know, man. I mean, St. Louis is just really bad. I don't know. Nashville, I think they're still, I don't know. They're not a team that I'm really interested in playing until we see that they can stop letting me down. Like, they keep losing when they're against teams in bad spots, so I don't love that. The second game tonight is Seattle and Utah. Now, Seattle's coming off an overtime win 2 nights ago against the LA Kings. That is a pretty big win, but I think it's more of a positive for Seattle. Like, I don't think they're really going to be in a letdown spot here because they lost 6 games in a row prior to that. So when a team ends a loss streak like that and it's not like a monumental win that they do it with, sometimes that will give them new momentum and they'll carry that winning momentum into the next game. They are having to travel to Utah here, though, into elevation. Utah has lost 3 games in a row. They're staying at home, and they're probably going to want to try to salvage this last game of this homestand and not go 0-4 on the homestand. They're 0-2 on the homestand. But they're coming off a difficult game against Florida last time out, man. So that might put them in a little bit of a bad spot. People might also notice that Utah just lost at home to the LA Kings on Monday, and then Seattle beat those same LA Kings in Seattle on Wednesday. So people might think, oh, well, if Seattle can beat LA and LA beat Utah, then it makes sense to grab Seattle here, right? As what's going to be Seattle at an underdog price here. You know, I struggle with this game a lot. I suppose I would agree with the Utah side here. Just that, like, common opponent thing kind of puts me over the top a little bit. That and the market read seems like it's indicating on Utah for now with 79% of the tickets, 92% of the cash. They're a fairly substantial favorite, though. down from minus 175 to minus 172. So the odds makers are still pretty much telling you that Utah is actually, right now, Utah's better than the record would indicate that they are right now. I'm not going to do it, obviously, but maybe a slight lean towards Utah there. But if you do it, you got to do one of those split bets or play them to win in regulation or something. And I don't love that type of thing. All right, and then we got NBA. I'm skipping this entire NBA board, man. There's nothing that I really love here. Chicago is at Charlotte. Now, we're looking at a situation like I talked about yesterday where these teams are coming out of extended breaks right now because there was a break in the NBA action just for the NBA Cup stuff. So that's something to keep in mind, like which teams are coming off of Cup games, even though I usually don't even pay attention to that. But more importantly, which teams, what did teams do going into the extended layoff is really the more important thing. So Chicago, they went into that layoff on as bad a note as possible, man. They've lost 7 games in a row. They got annihilated by Golden State, and that was a loss that we took on the show. I thought it was a bad spot for Golden State. I don't know what that was for the Bulls, but now that they have extended time off, you got to think that's a positive. And one of those losses was to the team they're playing tonight, Charlotte. So I think the Bulls have to show up focused here, man. They're going to use that extra time off to fix things. When you go into time off, it's like a bye, right? When you go into that time off on a really bad note like that, I think it's a good thing to have that extra time off, and then you fix some things. So I think Chicago is in a positive spot. Charlotte has also been off for the same amount of time since Sunday. They lost to Denver in a much less embarrassing effort where they only lost by 9 to Denver, and they got Cleveland tomorrow. So my opinion would be lean towards Chicago in this game, the Bulls. Where are they at here? They're definitely a favorite, right? Yeah, they're down from 3.5 to 3 with juice, but 50% of tickets, 58% of the cash on the Bulls. I think laying it with the Bulls is the right way to go here. I mean, the public is not really going to want to do that with a Bulls team because the public is very recency biased, and who's going to want to lay points on the road with the Bulls, even if it is against a bad Hornet team? So I think the Bulls are the right side in that one. Yeah. Memphis -7 is high. I will talk about that and what I think is going on with that number. Atlanta at Detroit. This game, this might be my strongest opinion in NBA. Take that for what it's worth, I guess. Atlanta, they've been off since Saturday. Technically, they went into the bye on a good note, but they only beat Washington. So not a bye, but into that extra time off. I don't think that extra time off is really going to hurt them that much. That win against Washington did break a losing streak for them, but they're playing Detroit here, man, so I don't think they're going to overlook Detroit. They actually played well last time they were here back on December 1st. They only lost by 1 at Detroit, although you might argue, well, Detroit's going to remember that and make some adjustments here, but I don't like the spot Detroit is in. Detroit went into the break on a good note. They've been off since Saturday as well. They went in on a 2-game win streak. So I think that break could hurt their momentum a little bit. And after they play Atlanta, who they already did just beat, the team they got next, man, they're going to be circling this game they have up next against the Boston Celtics because they're going to remember that the Celtics are the team that ended their bid to try to get the longest win streak in Detroit Piston history. Detroit was on the verge of making history. They had 13 wins in a row. That's what everybody was talking about. 14 wins, and they have the biggest win streak in Detroit history. The Celtics ended that streak for them, so I think they're absolutely going to be looking ahead to that Celtic game. That would be my opinion here. Don't have this as a play, but if I was going to play an NBA game, it would probably be this one, taking the points with the Atlanta Hawks. Pistons are up to a 7-point favorite, so you get the key number here of 7, maybe even 7.5. 67% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the Pistons. I don't love it enough to make it a play, but I would take the points with the Hawks in that one. I don't really hate the Bulls either in their game tonight. Indiana, Philadelphia. I mean, this game is fairly ugly, although Indiana is basically, they're at a point where they're kind of as healthy as they're going to be at this point without Halliburton. Indiana coming off a loss to Sacramento on Monday, so they've had less time off. I'm just trying to refresh my memory of which games were in the NBA Cup, but the NBA teams that are in the Cup I don't think are playing today, so, well, that, and I don't know if we really care. Oh, this team got eliminated from the NBA Cup. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if teams really care that much about it. Like the teams, as I always point out, the teams that care more about the Cup are usually the teams that want some like sort of victory, some sort of championship, and don't think they're going to be a contender for the NBA title. Although the Thunder are so good, they might win both because they're still in it for the cup. Indiana went into the break on 2 wins in a row, beating Chicago and Sacramento. So extra time off. They've only been off since Monday, but that could hurt their momentum a little bit. They're going to Philadelphia here. They might show up still, though, because Philadelphia is an all right team. Indiana can't really afford to overlook anybody the way they're playing anyway. The spot, I think, does set up a little bit worse for Philly, although they went into the extra break on a loss, but it was a big game against the LA Lakers, and they came to within 4 points of the Lakers. Now they get this malfunctioning Indiana team, if you want to call them that, and they have Atlanta next, and they did just lose to Atlanta. A loss for us on the show in that brutal 2 overtime game. So they might be even looking ahead a bit to Atlanta and then New York. 2 winning teams that they have to play after this. So looks a little bit sandwichy to me, man. So my opinion in this game would be take the points with the Pacers. Where are we looking at? Where's the market on this? Oh, here it is. I don't know why it's all the way down at the bottom when it's one of the earlier games, but Sixers are already down from 7.5 to 6. You already missed out on the keyest number there, although I guess that could be because somebody's resting for the Sixers. I don't know. 52% of the tickets on the Sixers, 82% of the cash on the Pacers. So it looks like the money is strongly agreeing with me on that game, taking the points of the Pacers. Embiid is a game-time decision, and so is Maxey. To me, I think Maxey's going to play. He's probable. It says he's sick. Whatever, he'll play. I'm sick as well. I was pretty bad yesterday. So he's going to play. The line kind of tells you that he is anyway. And Embiid, who even knows, man, he's probable as well. So the Sixers look like they will have a full lineup here for this one. So do with that information what you want to, I guess. But I would take the points with Indiana. Cleveland at Washington. Cleveland right now, man, Cleveland is better than their record looks, man. They've been dealing with some injuries. They're still one of the top teams in the East. They have had a long break. They've been off since Saturday, and they went in on a pretty ugly note, losing to Golden State without Steph Curry. Golden State has been not that great. That rhymes. I'm poetic here. So Cleveland might use that extra time to fix some things, man. They don't have any big games coming up next, really, so I actually think they're going to show up for this one. Even though it is against a really bad Wizard team. The Wizards, they're also coming off an extended break. They've been off since Saturday. It'll be a positive spot for them, too, for sure. They should show up against Cleveland. They went into the break on 3 straight losses, so they'll probably use that break to fix some things. But this is a game, man, where I think if you play the game, you got to lay it with the Cavs, man. That would be my opinion. It's the NBA. Again, in the NBA, you don't really want to be scared off every single time from laying double digits on the road. It's different from the NFL because NBA has a lot more points scored, and this is a high total in the 240s too. So I wouldn't be that scared to lay it with the Cavs here. 67% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the Cavs. If both teams are going to show up and the Cavs are the better team, then that's kind of what I expect. All right, now Utah at Memphis. Yeah, Memphis up to a 7-point favorite. The money looks like it's coming back, taking the Jazz. 50% of tickets, 75% of the cash on the Jazz. Now, Memphis, I think it's hard to really line Memphis. Like, we don't even know who Memphis really is. Like, they just don't have an identity, really. That's kind of the thing. But I think the recreational bettors might look at it and think there's no way I'm going to lay 7 points with a below 500 team, which that kind of makes me want to lay the points because, the odds makers are telling you that Memphis is significantly better than Utah. And looking at their records, it might look tempting to come in and take Utah. Utah's been a bad road team as well, 2-8, so that's not great for Utah. I think I've only played Utah as a home team this year, that's usually where you want to play them. Now, looking at the situation, there's kind of a lot going on the Memphis side of things in this game that need to be accounted for here. Now, Utah went into their break. They've been off since Sunday. They lost 2 games in a row in blowout fashion, but to the Knicks and Oklahoma City, good teams. Now they're coming out of that. Yeah, they should refocus having that time off. I don't expect them to not show up for this game. But Memphis, yeah, they went into the break on a good note, so that could disrupt their momentum. So the situation does look like you should be looking towards Utah. Memphis, they could have their momentum stopped by going into the break with 2 straight wins. But there are a couple of wrenches being thrown into this thing, man, where Zach Edey is now injured. He's going to be out for like multiple weeks, and I don't know what his injury is because he played in the last game against Portland. So now that kind of puts Memphis in an injured player spot because he's their best player pretty much with Morant not there. Although you know what I think about Morant, he wrecks team chemistry. But with Edey out, that kind of means, injured player spot. It means the team's going to step up in his absence, right? The first game without him, they're going to show up for it. But there's another wrench being thrown into this where now it looks like Ja Morant might be back in this game. So if he comes back, that's going to be a weird chemistry shift, man, where it's like you're replacing Zach Edey with Ja Morant, which, I mean, obviously they play completely different positions, but it is weird, man. And yeah, Utah does have some big men that maybe could take advantage of Edey not being in there. Morant, I do think he's a chemistry killer, man. And if he comes back, I think it's a negative, especially in the first game back. That's like the reverse injured player spot. If he's even injured, I don't know. He comes back, that's going to throw another wrench into this whole thing. And the team has to get used to him being back. They got to get into their new roles, whatever. Again, he seems like he's just a destroyer of team chemistry. So I don't love that. He's questionable right now, so you got to keep an eye on this. And with Memphis being a 7-point favorite, you would think that pretty much means Morant is playing, I would think, because if he's playing, the oddsmakers are going to move the line towards the Grizzlies. Even if he kills chemistry, he's still John Morant, so he affects the line only in one direction, man. So that's a long analysis there, but you throw all that into a blender, I guess I would lean towards taking the points with Utah, but I don't love it, man. I really don't. That's one of the more confusing games that I've seen. I mean, that is not something I want to get involved in at all. Brooklyn at Dallas. This is a pretty ugly one. Brooklyn, they won last Saturday, or they won on Saturday before going into their extended time off. Could be a bit of a momentum stopper having the time off, although the win was against the hapless New Orleans Pelicans. Brooklyn now coming into this game, going out on the road. Now, I do think the spot is worse for Dallas, though, because Dallas went into the break on pretty much the best note you could have. They beat Houston. That's big, man. I mean, Houston's one of the top teams in the West. Dallas, it means even more to Dallas because Houston is now kind of the big brother in the state of Texas. They're the best of the Texas 3 right now. So that's a huge win for Dallas, and they went into the break on that. I think they're going to come out of that a little bit flat, man. So I would lean towards Brooklyn in this game. Mavs are up from 7 to 8, 55% of tickets, 59% of the cash on them for now, but I don't really agree with that move. You might see the market kind of flip around as the day goes on. That game, I would look towards taking the points with Brooklyn. And then we have Minnesota Golden State to finish this off. Now, I pointed out this game, which was part of the reason why I liked the Bulls against Golden State, was I thought Golden State would have a huge look ahead to this game because this is playoff revenge, man. Minnesota is the team that eliminated Golden State from the playoffs last year, and this is the first time they're playing this season. So you know Golden State has to have this game circled, man. The last time they faced Minnesota, they were getting bounced from the playoffs. So this is a huge game for Golden State. It's a big game for both teams, but I think Golden State has more of a motivating factor here. Minnesota, right before they went into their break, which they've only been off since Monday, they lost a 5-game win streak to Phoenix, so against Phoenix, I should say. They'd won 5 games in a row before that, but they beat New Orleans twice and the Clippers for the last 3 wins there, and a Wembless San Antonio team in that stretch. So the best win in that whole stretch was the one against Boston, where they had a nice comeback win there. So that win streak for Minnesota wasn't that good. Now, remember the other thing I said about Minnesota is they still only have 2 games where they've won against winning teams, and it was those 2 against Boston and San Antonio without their best players. So this Minnesota team, they have not stepped up well in class. The fact that they lost their win streak, even though they've had extra time off, I think that kind of hangs them over a little bit. When a team loses a win streak, a lot of times it will hang them over. They got to go out to the Pacific Coast, where, yes, they did do that already this year, and they did fine. So maybe not a huge concern, but it's still going to be late on their biological clock. For Golden State, they're technically a winning team, by the way. As far as Minnesota versus winning teams, Golden State, hey, they're one game above 500, man. Now, it makes it seem like maybe you should play Golden State here, but I'm going to hesitate with that too because they had 2 wins going into their break against Cleveland and Chicago. Of course, that Chicago game I don't want to talk about anymore. A couple of big wins there going into the layoff, so that layoff could break their momentum as well. They're also returning home from a road trip, although they've had plenty of time off to get whatever they need to get done at home. But a lot of times that extra rest will cause you to settle in, man, and actually exacerbate the distraction. So I don't love that either. Golden State had gone out to the East Coast. They had been away between Thursday and Sunday. So not a long road trip, but still technically a road trip return. Now, another negative for Golden State, which, again, if you don't watch my show, you're going to say, how is this a negative? Steph Curry is back, man. He hasn't played since late November. He's not on the injury report. I went to their depth chart just to check. He's not listed as even questionable or out, so I'm pretty sure Curry is playing in this game. So that does set up a reverse injured player spot on the spot of Golden State now. And your star player has been out for an extended period of time like this. He's been out for like 2 weeks. Yeah, when he comes back, there's an adjustment that has to be made, man. Like the team could ease up a little bit because they were winning a little bit. The last couple of games, they were winning without him. Oh, now our star player is back. Maybe we could take it a little bit easier. You know, that just type of mindset that's hard to get that out of your head. You know, as a player, it's just kind of naturally you tend to do that, right? Like, rely on the star player once he's back. The teams have to kind of reassume their roles, readjust to it. So it's a bad spot, dude, for Golden State. I mean, it really is. So I think overall I'd probably have to lean in the direction of the T-Wolves here. Even though normally I was going to rely on the playoff revenge factor being one of the best factors in this game, but I think that gets negated by the reverse injured player theory and the return home spot, etc. So I think the Wolves are the side to look at in this game. 62% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. Money seems to agree with me. Warriors down from 2-1 here, 1.5. So it's like a pick the winner. Odds makers telling you the T-Wolves are the better team, although the records would also tell you that. So although the records can be misleading, but that's it, man. Those are the games today. I'll be back at some point. College football resumes tomorrow. Mr. Thursday night continued last night. I gave you guys a lean on Atlanta plus the points, and they erased a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter and won outright. I watched the end of that game. It was, dude, I like seeing Kirk Cousins do well, man. It's just, I don't know, I like him. So that was kind of fun to see. Plus, I got the pick right in my pick'em pools and whatever. I didn't even have it in my like money picks or anything like that. Preview for the NBA show or NFL show this week. I like a lot of the NFL games this week, man. So I'm going to have a hard time trying to focus and narrow it down. I'm going to have somewhere between 2 and 4 plays probably. I don't know how I'm really going to narrow it down because there are multiple that I really like. Where the last few weeks I haven't liked the board at all. This NFL week I like a lot of it. So hopefully that means we're going to have a good week. But we will see. I'm now 12-2-1, I think, in the Thursday night games with my spread leans and or plays. 3-1 in the actual plays, I think, or maybe 4-1. I like that, yeah. Bears, Browns, Panthers, Saints. Oh God. Bears, Browns. Yeah. That might be my best play of the week in that game. So you might know what I'm thinking already. If you know how I think, you probably already know what it's going to be. That is almost definitely going to be one of my plays. Bijan Robinson. Yeah. Are you in the playoffs, Dirty Sock? Dude, if somebody's in the playoffs and they had Kyle Pitts last night, holy crap. You get like, 30 points out of your tight end slot. That's crazy, dude. My tight end is gone. I had Sam Laporta, so I'm like streaming tight ends now. I just have junk tight ends. I have Barner and Loveland right now, and I'm on a bye this week. I'm the number 1 seed in my main league, so I'm on a bye. But I have to get into the money, I have to win at least one game here. I have to win the semifinals to get a bye here. So, to get into the money, because the top 3 get paid in my league. So Although I think third place only gets your money back, but I got to do it, man. Stacks, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out, but I am about to close the show out here. Once again, the 2 plays today, sandwich spots in basketball. We got Missouri State plus the points, Texas plus the points. Those are going to be the plays tonight. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We'll be back. I might be back tonight and start doing night college basketball because Saturdays are just way too much to do in the morning, even though I know I did it last year. But that might be what I do. Hopefully, I'm going to heal more throughout the day because I don't feel good right now. I'm going to have to hydrate and such. That'll do it for now, man. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the show here. Give me good comments, etc. Listen on audio. Give me good reviews on audio. Dude, my Monday on audio completely blew up, which was the day that I dropped the normal Monday show, but I also dropped the college football bowl preview and playoff preview show to audio there, even though you can't see what I'm doing with the bracket on audio. But that was my biggest day that I've had on audio. It was like 6 times bigger than my previous biggest day. Somehow that one got picked up. I don't know. That was big, but we've settled back into like normalcy, which is not good enough. So listen on Apple and Spotify. Give me good reviews over there. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel here. I'm going to try to get some more Christmas stuff out at least. Patreon.com/LearnToToad for Uke requests and a Uke Spotify feed that doesn't have the Christmas stuff up on it yet. I know I got to do that. Hopefully I can get that done at some point. But preparing for all the bowls crap is really irritating. The bowls, like, I'm constantly having to pay attention to all the line moves in the bowls, man. Like, you really have to pay attention. Plus, I'm in, like, bowl pick'ems and stuff, so you got to, like, really stay on top of that. Like, where's the line now? Where am I getting value? Like, the spreads have locked, like, much earlier, so, we're getting a huge amount of value on this side of the spread, whatever. That the bowls get crazy, dude. And then the confidence one on ESPN, where it's straight up, but you assign a confidence value to it, that gets really insane. Not really as good as that because there are a lot of underdogs that can win. So you got to take those favorites that you don't think are going to do well and push them down in confidence, at least, if not just pick against them. So lots going on here, man. Also, check out the Loser Cast. We had episode 2 earlier this week. Me, Leighton, Tyler Yonke, a couple of guys I don't know their names, Broseph and whatever the other dudes, Zenis Domenis. Go check that out. It's the new comedy panel podcast. And we're all losers, and we nominate people for being even greater losers than we are. So go check that out. Be on the lookout for the G Spot, the Giants podcast, New York Giants, with me and Ben Weir, which is going to start at some point, probably this weekend. We might just kick it off with a live watch party of Giants versus Redskins there, so we'll see, which is probably not one of the games I'm going to have a play on. I'll give you that one. That's not one of the ones I'm really interested in. I'm not really interested in Panthers Saints either. That game, those are games that kind of confuse me a little bit. Thank you, guys. You're up against the number 1 seed who's 12-1. Jeez. As the number 1 seed, my league is super competitive, and I went 10-4, and usually the 1 seed in my league is at best like 10-4, so we'll see. I think it was 10-4. Was it 10-4? Yeah, something like that. But good luck to you, sir. Hopefully I can get 1 win out of this thing. I don't even know who I'm playing in the first. Well, we won't know until we see who wins this week, but I don't know. I don't know if I have a preference, whatever. But my team is my team's on thin ice, dude, because I have Pat Mahomes and Rashee Rice, and they have had excellent seasons. And I have Jonathan Taylor. But now look at what's happening. Kansas City's falling apart. Colts just lost their quarterback. So I don't know, man. I mean, maybe that does mean the Colts are going to rely on the run more. Maybe that'll help Taylor, but I don't know, man. If there's no threat of the pass, the defenses can key on the run, and that's not good either. Like, is Phillip Rivers going to come in for the Colts and start lighting it up? I have no idea. Like, I can't believe they're doing that, man. It seems like he might actually start the game this weekend. I don't even know who the Colts quarterback is going to be. So bet on the Colts, obviously. Actually, maybe. We'll see about that one. Yeah. But I don't know. Hell, what just happened? What was that? StreamYard just buffering. I don't know. I apologize. Maybe it's my internet connection. My internet connection is usually good, though, because I live too close to a city. But the benefit is that you have internet that doesn't go out all the time. All right. That's going to do it, man. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, guys. But yeah, Kansas City, at least I have their defense against the Titans next week already lined up. And then they play the Broncos the next week, which maybe I'll keep them for that if I make it, because the Broncos offense sucks too. Pick some, which show? Which show are we talking about? Losercast? Losercast, we pick losers. No, my losers lose. Like, I have not gone... Like, the only one that was decided so far was Tyler won with Ashley St. Clair in the first one because he picked the most famous person, so he had it really easy there. I don't do that. My pick this week was somebody nobody's ever heard of, but it was because of what he did, and it was probably the most hilarious discussion possible, so that's why I did it. I don't care about winning, man. It's Losercast. I care about the show, so... Well, we don't know yet because none of the bowls or the college football playoffs have happened yet. Or you mean Monday morning? What did I have on Monday? I don't even remember. What was my Monday? I can look real quick. Let me see. Monday, it was a light day for me, I'm pretty sure, on Monday. I don't know what I had for actual plays on the Monday show, but people were probably mostly listening to the football show, though. Let me see. If they listened to my other show on that same day, Monday, what did I have on Monday? It was 1-0. It was the LA Kings. They won. Yeah, we did well. We won the one play on Monday with the LA Kings, yeah. All right. But yeah, hopefully we get some wins today. Hopefully we keep it going. We're closing out the year pretty strong, man. I mean, we've been all right for the last week or so. Not like ridiculously hot or anything. Some ups and downs, but some small wins in there for the most part. So, I mean, I'd like bigger wins, but I'm not going to complain too much about a small win like yesterday. Although, well, I will because Vancouver should have been a win, so I am pissed about that. But that's going to do it. I'll be back possibly tonight for a college basketball show, so I don't have to do it in the morning, but we'll see. I got to look and see how many games are being played. If it's a lot, then it will probably be tonight. So subscribe here, and you'll get the notification for that. I'll be back either then or tomorrow morning, or it'll be both probably. That'll do it for now. Let's get some wins tonight, and peace.